Tim, members sometimes talk of feeling a bit awkward, perhaps trying to impose a more formal written agreement with their bandmates, particularly when they're starting off and they're all friends. There's a bit of reluctance to try and be the person to instigate entering into a formal written agreement for fear of it showing perhaps distrust or um, things like that. Really, what would you say to that if members feel like, well, we've all agreed, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's, one of those difficult conversations we have in many relationships in life, from personal, casual relations to business relationships. But it's a conversation that really does pay to have. And it highlights any areas where members may feel uncomfortable with each other or not certain where they stand. It's all very well to get caught up in the roller coaster and, things seem fine and it's not that big a deal at the moment. But luckily, things do snowball for groups. And even in a relatively small degree, you can end up in doing contracts, doing business. And it's much better to know where you all stand. You acquire equipment, good to know how that ownership is shared out. People contribute funds towards the running of the group. It's good to know that'll be paid back ahead of splitting the assets, how those assets are going to be split. You know, what are the rights of the songwriter? Are they the same as everyone else, or is special provision made for them and their share of the publishing? Uh, the ownership of recording rights, does that belong to everyone equally? All these things can be specified how the recording income is split between everybody. And you could say, well, yeah, we chatted about it down the pub and we're all fine. We all understand it. The problem with that is great as long as everyone's happy and everything's going fine. Unfortunately, experience tells us that bands do have a habit of falling out, be it catastrophically or just over a discrete little issue that causes friction within the band. And at this point, it's often a problem when we're trying to rely on what may or may not have been agreed. People's recollection can vary from person to person. And also, over time, with the best will in the world, people's memories tend to fade or get distorted, and they think back and they think, well, I wanted to agree that. Did I actually agree that? Yes, we must have agreed that because I wanted that to happen. Well, somebody else may view it entirely differently. So much easier to have it written in writing, so that everyone can look at it and say, well, that's what we've agreed. It's there. Now, truth be told, that could be a simple bit of paper, but it pays so much more to have a properly drafted partnership agreement that addresses the questions that you may not have thought about, or forces people to address questions that they've thought about but didn't really want to get involved in because they think it might be a difficult conversation. But it does pay to clear the air at the outset as soon as possible so everyone knows what the relationship is and how things are going to be dealt with. It can always be changed as time goes on. You can say, well, yeah, we agreed that 3 years ago and it worked great for us then, but things have changed. The way we've put money in, taken money out, the dynamic of the group has changed. It's time we amended our partnership agreement. Again, perfectly free to do that. And because it's in writing, you know where you are at the moment and you know what you don't like, and everyone can read it and understand that. And you can agree how to have it changed to suit the way you want it to be now. This is the beauty. It is your document and you can draft it and alter it as you want, when you want, to suit the way you want to govern the relationship with your bandmates.
Great. Thanks, Tim.